Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at a different independent computer role-playing game. This week I'm taking a look at a sort of card-based hack-and-slash semi-roguelike called Book of Demons. Developed and published by Thing Trunk, it was released on Steam back in December of 2018, so newer than some of the stuff I've been covering, but still out for a while. Book of Demons seems to be just one of a series of upcoming games, making for a somewhat interesting title screen to say the least. Apparently there's going to be a Book of Aliens and an upcoming Book of Demons Hellcard game. Anyway, as for the game itself, it'll quickly become apparent that much of the gameplay, storyline, and more is just very much influenced by a certain genre-defining hack-and-slash classic. When you first start the game, you are given the amazing character creation option of the Warrior, although the Rogue and the Mage are unlocked once you reach at least level 5. You can change your name and are given a simple list of 3 signature cards to look out for, although you don't get them automatically, which are part of the card-based combined skill spell equipment system. You may then select between one of 3 difficulty levels, and enable a super hot mode if you wish. Although Book of Demons is real-time, the super hot mode makes it so that time only passes when you move, reminiscent of the game Super Hot. In terms of plot, you are a wanderer who has returned to their home village after many years away on request of the barmaid there. It seems some demonic influence has begun to corrupt the land, and the dead have been rising from their graves under the abandoned old cathedral, only to haunt the land. With the help of a few villagers, the aforementioned barmaid, a doddering old healer, an old sage that stands outside beside the well and who can identify your items, and a mysterious fortune teller with a sinister past about her. Sound familiar yet? Heading up to the cathedral puts you into the dungeon. Now, the first time you'll be shown the basic layout of things to come, basically proceeding down through various levels, facing a few major bosses, and eventually facing the demon at the bottom of hell itself. On the left side of the screen here, you can see your progress through the dungeons. Each time you enter, you simply deal with lower and lower levels, unless you wish to face the quest bosses of which you've already fought. You are given a very abstracted view of what to expect on each level, which shows the general size of that map and the enemies you'll likely face, and this can be useful for planning your card layouts. A bit later in the game, you'll have to adjust the size of the levels that you face, or at least you'll have a chance to, which can increase the number of enemies and the rewards you'll have a chance at, as well as the progress towards the next quest boss, but require way more time to clear. Each quest boss will require multiple trips through the dungeon to unlock, each time contributing a certain amount of progress towards unlocking it. When you click on a level, you're dropped into a randomly generated map. A pretty straightforward isometric map dominates the screen. In the upper left is your gold total, as well as the total of golden keys that you've picked up, which can be used to replay quest bosses. Along the top of the screen are listed the number of question mark boxes on that particular level, which represent the number of points of interest there. These are exposed when you discover each one. In the upper right is the menu option button, as well as the actual time, so you can tell how long you've been playing. The bottom of the screen is the main interface. The 2 orbs show your mana and your health, similar to so many hack-and-slash games. You can access your character screen via a button on the left, and your active deck via a button on the right. The main section of the bottom shows your equipped cards. You start with 3 open cards unlocked, and you can unlock more in town as the game progresses. Your character stats are incredibly basic. You have a title, a number of experience to the next level, your total health and mana, and a list of any contents tossed back into the cauldron in town, which I'll get to in a bit. You can access an expert tab, but this really just shows you various accrued statistics. Not ability scores, but rather a lot of trivial information things like how many cards you've obtained and so forth. As for your deck, it's basically a list of what cards you have available. Cards are separated by type: special cards that aren't really equipable, artifact cards that are function like gear, item cards that are effectively consumables, and then spell cards, which are activatable spells and skills. You don't get any cards when you first start, but you will pick them up as you explore the dungeon. You can only have a number of cards equal to the number of card slots you have unlocked, and that's between all types, so your equipment, skills, and quick slot items are effectively capped at 10 in total. Spells generally take mana to use, while artifacts take mana to equip, effectively locking off a set of mana, turning it green and therefore unusable. This also means that even a warrior needs to boost their mana, or they're going to have a very limited amount of gear and useful skills. You can also define a couple of different card sets, so you can switch between layouts pretty swiftly. Gameplay generally has you clicking to move through the random dungeon, engaging enemies, breaking things, opening chests, and so forth. Rather than certain other games that this no doubt will remind you of, you are limited to moving only along the paths. This does have helpful highlights to show where you've already explored, so you can narrow things down as you go through. Fortunately, you don't have to leave the path for anything. You have a radius in which you can activate things, and within which you can automatically attack enemies just by simply being nearby. You can pick up most gold just by mousing over it if it's in activation range, and you can do the same for many minor items, while cards will generally need you to click on them. This makes looting rather swift. You can also click and hold to force movement even while in combat, and clicking and holding on an enemy will target them and force faster attacks. Now, why would you not just want to click fast attack on everything? Because some enemies come in varieties of types, some of which can take out certain types of attack, some of which can only be attacked and hit once every so often, some of which even enrage and heal if they're attacked too quickly in too short a time. Some also cast spells, which can be interrupted if you click and hold on the spellcasting icon, and which requires you to actually do so before you can hit them, and some are shielded, which requires you to attack the shield icon over them multiple times to break it before you can even damage them. Every time you hit an enemy, it reduces the number of hearts that they have, provided your attack went through, and when you kill them, you gain experience. When you have enough experience, you can level up, which reduces the number of hearts of the enemies that you face, and lets you increase your own health or mana. Whichever one you choose not to, it goes into a cauldron, and you can purchase that later. Along the way, you'll uncover various items, mostly represented by cards. Once you get certain cards, like the health potion, replenishing items for that card will occasionally drop, allowing you to recharge it in the dungeon. After you've unlocked the cauldron, you can also occasionally get ingredients from things, which place prizes in the cauldron. These prizes build up the more you place in the cauldron without dying. If you die, you are sent back to town. Your cards and gold are left on a tombstone on the map that you died on, so you can go and reclaim them, while any prizes that you sent back to the cauldron are lost. Any amount of health and mana that you send back to the cauldron are left there, though, so you can continue to accrue those. In the dungeon, you can encounter various bosses, whether main quest bosses or simply mini-bosses. Each one has various phases, which can involve different minor mechanics and different types of attack. The more phases a boss has, the better things that they generally drop. Once you've thoroughly explored an area and have cleared the monsters, you can proceed to the next level by clicking on the stairs. There are plenty of indicators to let you know if you haven't found all the items on each level yet, and you can always go back to prior levels so long as you haven't ended the overall expedition by attempting to quote-unquote go deeper. So that's basically the dungeon crawling section. Very much stylized, but it should be very familiar to anybody who's got experience with the genre. Back in town, you can gossip with the various NPCs, but also partake of their services. The fortune teller will let you use certain upgrade cards to upgrade the main cards you have, let you charge cards that have a set number of charges, such as healing potions or the like, fuse your rune cards or upgrade cards into various types, or just sell them. Kane, the old man, lets you identify unidentified rare cards, unlock extra skill slots, as well as view the bestiary for information on creatures. The barmaid lets you buy golden keys to replay prior quests, but also lets you collect the prizes and stats that have accrued in the cauldron. Each time you do, you are granted the stats that you didn't pick up on level up, and prizes are reset and the price increases for the next time you use the cauldron, so trying to use this sparingly can be useful up until you get a fair amount of cash. Finally, the healer will let you heal yourself and lets you recharge your Death Rage ability, which ordinarily only recharges when you level up. Graphically, the game is very stylized and is meant to appear similar to an odd mix of illustration and papercraft. It's definitely inspired in terms of look and feel by the Diablo series. It's all well done, honestly, although I can totally see where it may not appeal to everyone. The music and sound design are actually pretty solid as well, way better than I expected, although I can't say that I'll be humming any of these themes later like I do the ones in, Diablo. Gameplay is really where it's at. The point-and-click interface is pretty par for the genre, although I'm not sure if the railroad mechanic of keeping your character on a set, albeit branching path, is really a detriment, actually. The games it takes inspiration of don't offer much in the way of exploring in that regard anyway. You can explore the map, but it's usually just going from pre-generated area to pre-generated area, and at least when you're on the railroad, it does streamline movement and exploration. The card-based mechanic is interesting, at least for a change, but I'm not entirely sure if it's really worth copying. In essence, I like it in this game, but I don't like it enough to pick up another game solely based on that mechanic. It does force some interesting choices between gear, skills, and consumables, but honestly, I'm not sure if it's really different enough from a standard inventory system to justify itself. Overall, Book of Demons is fun. If you like the hack and slash and semi-procedural genre, it's really fun. The callbacks and references to the Diablo series are amusing and sometimes worthwhile. I'll definitely recommend picking this one up on sale if you can, though. And on that note, I will wrap it up here. This has been the RPG Crawler with my review of Book of Demons. As always, I'll put a link to where you can pick it up below. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.